her and listen to her lovely voice. A very good morning to you. How are you doing, Pallavi?
Very good morning to you. Me too, doing very well. Thank you for hosting me, Your Business Matters, again on Wednesday mornings. I know that this is a time usually there are a lot of people who are already at work, but we know we have callers that call us on their way from work everywhere. And before we take calls on the air, though, I would like to just, last time when we spoke, we had just had a new president-elect and Donald Trump, and at that point, I think there was a lot of just shock in that understanding and comprehension as to what was going to happen to a lot of people that were here present in the country in no status, so they were illegally present in the country. Now, there are going to be other repercussions also, and I wanted to just bring that out. And as our 45th president-elect is ready to take the Oval Office, and this is going to happen in January, he's holding let's say he's holding a first here in being a very, very anti-immigration stance attorney in contemporary history. So that kind of president in contemporary history, and that is concerning, especially since this has been an immigration of a nation of immigrants, and just to have such strong rhetoric that was on the campaign trail, we're just concerned about the advisor that he's chosen, and the advisor that he's chosen currently is from Kansas, Kobach. He is he's been responsible for a very, very racist bill, the SB 1070. This was the one that was this was the law in Arizona where you had to show your IDs, and we discussed it ad nauseum at the time that it was announced. So we're hoping that once they are handling the entire country, the stance would be a little different. But I want our listeners to know, and especially the ones that are still they're still not done with their green card process. They still have a lot going on. There are a few concerns. I don't want to tell anyone that this is, really the end of everything, but all I want to just tell everyone is to be aware of the different impacts his policies may have, or even his executive pen may have.
Right, and a lot of concern looms in many minds, and only time will tell what happens. And thank you for your support and your advice there. And let's start taking calls, Pallavi.
Let's go for it, please.
972-235-5555, number in the studio. Going to our callers now, taking our first call on the airwaves of Anisha Radio 104.9 FM. You are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question to Pallavi.
Hi, Pallavi.
Hi, go ahead, ma'am.
My husband, I'm on H4 visa over here. My husband applied for the extension in the month of January, and we received my husband's and my son's I-797 form. But my I-797 was misplaced. Then we applied for the duplicate copy, that is I-24. Then we received my copy, but my son's name was on it, and on I-94 my son's name was there. So again I applied and contacted them. So I received that what they said, the I-539 was approved with a dependent child on the case, therefore duplicate copy will include the dependent child's name. So what should I do now? Okay. Because I don't have my I-797.
All right, so here is my quick question. Have you checked your 539 form? It did have your name on it, right? You were the primary on it?
Yes.
Okay, and was this done through premium processing unit?
Hello? Yes?
Was this done through the premium processing unit, ma'am?
No.
Okay, it was done under regular processing, and you've gone through your entire gamut of options here. Have you spoken to a supervising officer at USCIS at the 800 number that you've called?
Yes, I have called them. What they are saying that your dependent child name is over there, so his name will be there. And on the form which I have got, I-94 is also consisting my son's name, not my name.
Okay, so they have either not issued or misplaced it. I'm not sure as to what they've done here. You may have to get to somebody who can understand that you don't have an approval notice, correct? You don't have an H4 approval notice for yourself, correct? Is that what it is?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So you'll have to just speak to them, or the other option that you may have, and again that becomes a little bit of a hassle. But if there is the status quo that you have to kind of resolve and push out, you may have to take your husband's approval notice, step out for visa processing, enter the country with H4 visa, and then at the CBP it would be recognized, and you should get the same length of time that your husband's approval has.
Okay, so what should I do? Where I should go with that particular copy?
You will have to step out for visa processing for the H4. If the USCIS has either lost something or is not being able to help you resolve your status quo, then you will have to step out, go out consular processing to the consulate, get yourself stamped and re-enter the country.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your call. Moving on to our next caller, 972-235-5555, number in the studio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Yes, I have a question for a friend of ours. A few years ago, I would say maybe about roughly 4 or 5 years ago, he was involved in some illegal drug selling, and he was put on probation and also some fine. I think it was $10,000 fine. But now he's currently on his green card, and he has to renew that green card in 2019. So since that incident, it's like almost maybe 8 years or so. So do you think there'll be an issue getting a renewal on the green card, or people applying for the citizenship?
Well, no, I would say that this may be an issue, and it should be looked at. There are many.
Hold on. I can barely hear. Give me 1 second.
Surely.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. I said the fact that this was a drug-related offense and one that bore a penalty, as you say, of $10,000, that is very, very concerning because it may trigger deportation for him. Okay? So I would not ask him to either apply for naturalization at this point or for, of course, his renewal will not be up until he's close to that I-90 expiring. So, and that's going to be 6 months prior to the 2019 date that you just said. But I would have him show what he was charged for, what did he plead guilty to, and what that offense was really, before a judgment on that could be made. If it was a certain amount of possession that he was, if it was selling, if it was possession, it just depends on the kind of crime it is to be able to make a judgment as to whether he's deportable or not. Most drug-related crimes become deportation, but I would have to check that to be able to ascertain that.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for your call. Once again, this is Your Business Matters with Pallavi Ahluwalia from Ahluwalia Law Offices, 972-361-0606 to get in touch with the front desk manager for your appointments. Pallavi Ahluwalia's website, it is ahluwalialaw.com, and right now to get answers to your legal queries, the number in the studio is 972-235-5555. Going to our next caller, Fun Asia Radio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question to Pallavi. Can you please turn off your radio and then ask your question? All right. Can you hear us? All right. Guess not. Please call us back. 972-235-5555. Number in the studio. We'll go ahead and ask your question to Pallavi.
Hello?
Yes, you are live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question to Pallavi.
All right. My name is Nitin, and this is regarding the B-2 visa for my father, who is expected to visit me around February. So my question is, while filling up the TS-160 and other declarations, I have given details for Dallas, where I'm currently staying. Is it okay if he books his ticket from India to Chicago rather than for Dallas?
Yeah, that just should be fine. I mean, that is a booking that he's going to have to do later on. So your concern is that the DS-160 may have a Dallas address, but he's flying into Chicago. That should not be. Yeah, that should not be
right.
concern, and that's not something he's about to show right now. Is he about to take his itinerary to his interview? If he will, it may be of some concern. If he's planning on coming here, I would not ask him to take his itinerary, though. That would be a little, too ahead of the plan. So I would just have a 3-part that you have to make sure that he qualifies for his financial strength in the home country, back home, the reason for the visit, and that could be visiting his family and y'all, and his emotional ties back to the country. And if those could be shown with the DS forms as well as the supporting documentation, that is how he would get his B1, B2 stamped. The rest of the things as to where he's flying in would be secondary, and that would be just looked at later on.
Yeah, so his stamping is already done. So he already has a B2 visa. So it's all taken care of. It's just that I wanted to book the ticket, and before that, I wanted to be sure.
Yes, that is not an issue.
All right. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thank you for your call. Going to our next caller, Fun Asia Radio. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question to Pallavi.
Hello, Pallavi. I was calling regarding the TPS for Nepal. Actually, I didn't apply for the initial period last time, and now it's extended. So, is there any way I can apply for the TPS?
I'm sorry, you had not applied for your TPS, you said earlier, and now you want to?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, so there is an initial registration. Yes, so there is an initial registration period, and you had to have applied at that point. And if you haven't, the extension option would not be available to you.
Okay, so there's no way one can apply if you didn't have applied before?
So again, the TPS that you're about to qualify for, you have to just look at it as to when it was announced and when that registration period, that was the initial one, was open, and if you were here in the country at that point, could you have applied? If you did not apply at that point, at this time when you're doing the extensions, you will not be able to apply. But I have to just go over those dates with you, a little bit more in detail to be able to ascertain that.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'll get a call back.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your call. For appointments, do remember 972-361-0606 is the number to call the front desk manager and get your appointment set with Pallavi or one of his members, and one of our members. And yes, of course, in the number in the studio, 972-235-5555. That's the number in the studio. Going to our next caller, Fun Asia Radio, you're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hi, Pallavi. I have a question. The question is, my niece applied for the B-2 visa, visitor visa. It got rejected. Now she's applying for the second time. At the time of refusal, during the first time visit, they said the person who is sponsoring won't be having enough income to support the parents and my niece. So, what are the chances now, and any other documentation we can provide in order to get approved with visa this time?
Yeah, so the again, what they're trying to look at is, number one, the reason, and they're trying to ascertain really quick on a discretionary basis whether the person who's coming in is going to come here and become illegal or go back to the home country after a visit. So they're trying to look, or they're trying to ascertain that reason for the visit, number one. Number two, they're trying to see if the person has financial strength in the home country, which means that they have enough money that they would not abandon and come and be illegal in the country. And the third thing they're looking at is the emotional ties back to the home country. Now, in this case, if there was an I-134 that was submitted, which is an affidavit of support in a case like that, maybe that the person who had submitted it did not have the income in the past year that justified that person's support. And so this is for your niece who was entering. So at this point, rather than reapplying, first assess to see that the person who wanted to sponsor her is qualified or not. plus build up on those other.
The sponsor is the one. He is working now. Sorry, he is working now. He is having he applied for his parents, which got approved, and this is for his uncle's uncle's daughter, who is my niece. So he's applying second time.
Yeah, but my concern is that even with his job at this point,
Yes.
if his last document did not show enough of income to be able to support himself, his family, his parents, plus this other person, the niece who's about to come, that may be an issue. Now the other thing is that if you can show bank accounts that hold thrice the amount that is required. So you have to look at the poverty guidelines. You have to open those, look at the number of people that are being applied, and then see if it is you're going to show assets that the person has. Then you have to have 3 times the assets, or you have to have that required income. Having current pay stubs may be useful, but may not be all they're looking for. Maybe you may want to consider another sponsor who can do the affidavit of support.
Okay. And sorry, I have another question too. Same time, we applied for our in-laws. 2 times we applied. My husband is a citizen now. As of now, he's a citizen. Before he was not a citizen. We are just green card holders. We applied for my in-laws, but it got rejected twice, saying that they don't have enough income. They are farmers, so they don't have enough income. So what it matters? We are the sponsors, right? Still, they'll be get rejected again. What do you think of now?
Yeah, so the status of the person is peripherally important, which means whether you were green card holders or you were U.S. citizens or on H-1B visa, that would not be as important to the entry. Again, those 3 prongs that I emphasize a lot on for the visitor visas, and these are also prongs that are important for student visas, are that financial strength in the home country. Now, if the financial strength is not there, as in not in bank accounts, but there are property owners or they have land, then that should be brought to attention in terms of the DS-160 forms if they're doing the visitor visa. The other option, unfortunately, would be for your husband to do their green cards, and in that way there would be some kind of a guarantee, because on the visitor visa there is discretion on part of the officers.
Okay, so you are saying a D-131 form?
No, we're talking about if they're going to be doing the green card, then he has to file I-130s for both parents separately, and then he has to go through the consular processes, and in that they're looking at his income and his qualifying criteria, and they're not looking at the parents and their qualifying criteria anymore.
Okay, thank you very much, Pallavi. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you for your call. 972-235-5555 number in the studio. This is Your Business Matters with Pallavi Ahluwalia. You're live on the air. Go ahead and ask your question to Pallavi.
Hello?
Yes. Please, can you turn off the radio and then ask your question?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a doubt. I had H-1B approved in 2011. Yeah, and it was stamped for 3 years, and it got expired in 2014, and I did not travel.
Okay.
Hello? And currently I am in US in H4, and I have not used my H1 still. Can I still make use of that 6 years quota because it's only 5 years now? But
No. The getting back into an H-1B again requires you to step out of the country, and this is something that I think is not very, very clear. I've been asked that question before, so just wanted to bring that to your attention. Getting back into the quota requires you stepping away from the country for a complete 365-day period, okay, which means 1 year you have to be outside the country, and then you have to apply in the quota, go through the lottery, and then if you're selected, be part of the fresh 6 years.
So actually I have just came in H for 6 months back. This is the first time I'm traveling to US, and I just stayed only 6 months in US. I've never used my H1 visa.
Okay, so even if you've not used your H1 visa, but your H1 was part of it, as in you were part of the quota for in the last 6 years, then you are entitled to your entire 6 years even now. You just have to start it out. It's a certain way it has to be started. You can restart your H1 period now as long as you were cap counted once in the last 6 years. So that's
H1. Can I use that H1B now?
Absolutely, you can, and you have a fresh 6 years starting, so in increments, of course, of 3 years, but you have fresh 6 years that you can start using before it's that past 6 year deadline that I'm talking about. So right now, you said you were selected in 2011, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just still fine. You can start using your H1B. You could transfer from H4 to H1B, and then you would get 3 years, and then you'll go ahead and get 3 more years. You do still have a complete 6 year availability to you at this point.
Yeah, and actually it was stamped. Usually it will be stamped. Those years it was stamping. Stamping will be done in October month, and the visa will we will be applying at April. So
that's fine. If you never used it,
can I use it?
If you never used it, yeah.
So 6 years will be over by 2017 April or 2017 October. That's what's my concern.
That's fine. You can start your first 3 years now. You can move to an employer that would sponsor you. The visa stamp has no value anymore because, of course, it must have been stamped only till 2014, as you had indicated. So at this point, all that matters is that you were cap counted once in 6 years, in the last 6 years, and that you have a job offer under which an employer will sponsor you without the requirement to go through a quota. This is just some understanding that
and I don't have an SSN even. I don't have an SSN, so I mean most of the consultancy are like hesitant to apply because like they tell like there are chances of like RFE to be coming, so they are not ready to sponsor. So can I one more thing? Can I apply for?
I'm sorry to interrupt. We have 30 seconds to go, Pallavi.
Okay, I'll just wrap this up real quick. Thank you, Mitu. So, no, the SSN is not a prerequisite to getting an H1B. You have to first get on the H1B and then apply for the Social Security. So somebody has this wrong for you. At this point, I would ask you to get an employer who's willing to sponsor you and get on that H1B, and you should be okay.
And that's about it. Thank you so much, Pallavi, for coming on air.
Okay, all the best.